Hello everyone, back to our latest Star Wars video. So we're going to talk about Star Wars Episode 9 a little bit for this video. Oscar Isaac, who plays Poe Dameron in the sequel trilogy, been doing a few interviews, not really about Star Wars, about other projects that he's doing. But Star Wars has come up and he's dropped a couple of tidbits. No, there's not going to be any spoilers in this video. We may do some spoiler type videos for Star Wars Episode 9 in the future. But when we do, we will flag them up, so no one's going to be spoiled. If they want to stay spoiler free, then they'll know in advance not to watch a certain video. There's no spoilers in this when it's coming from the actor himself. He's under contract, of course, not to say too much, so you can pretty much be sure. But if any sort of tidbits come from an actor or somebody else who's worked on the film, then they're not going to be giving much away. That's spoilerish. So I'll get back for you very shortly, just to say the video we last uploaded about Star Wars is looking at the relationship between George Lucas and Kathleen Kennedy. It's a 40-minute epic, goes over what happened between Lucas and Kennedy as far as we can ascertain. Anyway, it's asking the question, did Kathleen Kennedy betray George Lucas? So do have a look at that. It's a very in-depth video, and have a look and see what you think about that. Right, let's get on with Oscar Isaac then. So this is popped up today from Entertainment Weekly. Oscar Isaac reminisces on wrapping Star Wars Episode 9 with C-3PO. So I'll just go over this very shortly, and then we'll get on to the main point of this video. So let's just very quickly highlight this, and we're off. It was the end of an era for Oscar Isaac, who recently finished filming Star Wars Episode 9, the last installment of a new Star Wars trilogy, but his big capper seemed almost overshadowed by one of his co-stars, as Isaac told Jimmy Fallon on Thursday's Tonight show. His last day on set, the one memorialised with a photo of the three main leads, was also the last day for Anthony Daniels, the actor behind C-3PO. It was such a milestone, said Oscar Isaac. What was a particularly special day was the day that I finished on these three massive movies. That for me has been such a huge part of my life. Right after it was like, okay, Oscar's done, and then I said a few words, and it's also Anthony Daniels' last day, way to take my thunder. According to Isaac, though, it was an emotional experience for both of them. Daniels was super emotional about it and hanging up the golden cow, the man behind Poe Dameron recalled. And I think really, and I mean this time he kept saying this was the most fun he's had because he had so many fun things to do, and we got to work a lot together. So that's a bit of an Episode 9 tidbit. It was just amazing to see that piece of history close. So we can look, Entertainment Weekly says, so we can look forward to some added banter between Poe Dameron and the gold-plated droid. Comes Episode 9, but now Oscar Isaac can move on to other projects like his latest for Netflix, Triple Frontier. So that drops a little bit of a tidbit. It appears that C-3PO and Poe Dameron are going to have a connection. In Episode 9, it appears they're going to be sharing quite a bit of screen time. I suppose that's because Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, won't be particularly featured in the film very much. So C-3PO's normally with Princess Leia, but she's not going to be around very much. I think they're going to take footage from The Force Awakens, and she will be in it a little bit, but obviously she won't be in it a great deal. So C-3PO's got to be with somebody else, I suppose. He moves on to working with Poe Dameron, perhaps. So there's going to be a little bit of a connection between those two. But the main reason for this particular video is what Oscar Isaac said a couple of days ago. He said that Star Wars Episode 9 is the end of the Skywalker Saga, confirms Oscar Isaac. This is from Empire Online. So let's get into this. There was always going to be a feeling of finality around Star Wars Episode 9. Sure, Disney is planning a future for the galaxy far, far away with iterations from Rian Johnson. I'll be very surprised if Rian Johnson's trilogy ever gets made, I have to say, but more about that perhaps in a future video. And Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. But the next instalment in the sequel trilogy will mark the culmination of Rey and Ben Solo's story. Have they really had a story? I mean, that's debatable, I would have thought, particularly after The Last Jedi. But anyway, we'll continue. And by the sounds of it, we'll bookend on the Skywalker story that began in 1977. Reiterating that fact is Oscar Isaac, a.k.a. Dashing Resistance pilot Poe Dameron, who popped up on the Today Show to promote his new Netflix action thriller Triple Frontier. While there, he spoke a little bit about the top secret episode 9, and he was keen to stress that this is the end of George Lucas's epic family drama space opera. So here we go. It is the end of the entire Skywalker saga, Oscar said. 9 stories, and this is the culmination of the thing. I think what JJ's done, JJ Abrams, the director, of course, and really the whole Lucas team is going to be incredibly fulfilling. You get to learn a lot about these characters. He also spoke about Carrie Fisher, who will appear in the film using footage originally shot for The Force Awakens prior to her death in order to complete General Leah's story. We thought about her so much, her spirit's there, he said. Billie Lourd, her daughter, came and played a part that she played in the last couple of films as well. So her spirit was definitely there with us. And it goes on to talk a little bit more about the film. But the main quote is definitely going to be where he says about the end of the entire Skywalker saga. So again, just go over that. It is the end of the entire Skywalker saga. Oscar said 9 stories, and this will be the culmination of the thing. And I think what JJ's done, and really the whole Lucas team, is going to be incredibly fulfilling. You get to learn a lot more about these characters. So they're going to be promoting episode 9 very heavily as the end of the saga, that this is the end of the Skywalker saga. They're going to be putting in sort of details that go back to the original film, so there can be tie-ins to the original films. I think there will also be tie-ins to the prequels, although probably less of that because Disney is very unkeen to even acknowledge that the prequels exist, seemingly. But I expect there will be some minor tie-ins to both the prequels and to the originals, and they're going to try and really hammer home the fact that this is the final Skywalker Star Wars Saga film. Now, whether it actually is or not, I've got my doubts, I've got to say. From a marketing perspective, that's definitely the thing to do, particularly after the backlash to The Last Jedi. They want to bring the fans back in. They know there's a lot of disgruntled and unhappy fans after The Last Jedi, so they're going to be hammering home the fact that this is the last chance, really, to get to see Luke Skywalker, although he'll only have a cameo, but it's a last chance to get to see Luke Skywalker, and this is going to be the end of the saga. Whether that's true or not, I've got my doubts. When George finished Return of the Jedi, it never really looked like there was ever going to be prequels or sequels, and The Last Jedi was very much marketed as the end of the trilogy. There's very little talk about either prequels ever being made or the originals ever being made, just like a dream within Lucas's eye that one day he might do it. But at the time of Return of the Jedi, it was never guaranteed at all that there would be prequels or sequels. And then at the end of the prequel trilogy, at the end when Revenge of the Sith came out, again, it was very much marketed that this was going to be the end of George Lucas's 6-part Star Wars opus, which I suppose it is, actually, especially given the fact that Disney discarded his draft for the sequel trilogy. I suppose Revenge of the Sith does mark the end of George Lucas's Star Wars saga, which is the 6 films, episodes 1 through to 6. But again, here we are with the sequel trilogy having been made. I wouldn't be at all surprised if in 5, 10, 15 years Disney or somebody else, there's no guarantee, but Disney will own Star Wars rights indefinitely. They might sell them on to another company. So wouldn't be at all surprised if in sort of 10, 15 years' time, whether we get episodes 10, 11 and 12. Remember, it was always supposed to be a 12-part saga, Star Wars, when Lucas was originally writing these films. Back in mid-1970s, it was supposed to span 12 films. And as I said, C-3PO, I think I said this, maybe not, but the idea was that the droids, C-3PO, R2-D2, would be only characters that go from beginning to end across the whole of the 12 films. So Disney have held true to that. They've kept the droids, albeit with very minor parts, but the robots, C-3PO, R2-D2, have been kept within the sequel trilogy, very much in line with Lucas's vision. They haven't done much that's in line with Lucas's vision with sequel trilogy, but that's one of the aspects that they have held true to, keeping the robots going through episodes 7, 8 and 9, so that they're there from beginning to end. So far, the end, of course, in episode 9, the beginning in episode 1. But I don't think there's anything, just because they're saying and they're marketing this as the end of Star Wars, the Star Wars Saga, anyway, the Skywalker Saga, I don't think there's any guarantee that that is actually what's going to be the case in reality. We should wait and see, of course. You never know, it might be. There'll never be another Star Wars Saga movie, never be another episodic movie, if you like, 10, 11, 12. But I'd be quite surprised, to be honest, if that was the case. But what I would say is that, despite that, we have to assume that it could be the final Saga movie, if you like. So if people want to see the final Star Wars Saga movie, then and I assume a lot of people will, then they're going to want to go and see that. So I would expect, there's been a lot of theories about what the box office of this film would be. I would suspect it would be a very large box office, despite the backlash from The Last Jedi, because the marketing going to be very much towards this being the end of Star Wars Saga. I think it will have a massive box office, and I think it'll be financially a huge success, as all of the sequel trilogy films have been. They have all been huge successes. This one will be no different. It'll be a very, very big movie indeed. Financially, it's a tremendous success, this sequel trilogy. But in terms of artistically and creatively, it's a bit of a car crash. And one of the interesting aspects for me is just how they're going to bring this out after the disaster that was The Last Jedi. So for me, I'll be going to see it and just wondering how on earth are they going to sort of bring this round, or can they even bring it round and make the sequel trilogy a successful, coherent sort of trilogy in the end, or will it continue to be the train wreck that it has been up to this point? It'll be very interesting to see. But anyway, Oscar Isaac is saying that this is the end of Star Wars. I've got my doubts about it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that Episode 9 will be the final Star Wars Saga movie, or do you think they'll be back with 10, 11 and 12 at some point in the future? I would be at all surprised if there's an ending with Episode 9 that's kind of like open-ended and gives them the chance, despite everything they're saying, we're going to say, up to December, I wouldn't be so surprised if there's an open end to Episode 9, and gives them the chance anyway at some point in the future to be able to do 10, 11 and 12. Watch out for that when you go to see the film. But anyway, let me know what you thought in the comments. Do you think this is the end of the Star Wars Saga, or do you think eventually there'll be episodes 10, 11 and 12? How do you think they're going to close the Star Wars Saga? And do you think it will be a fulfilling end to the project? Let me know what you think. Please like, share and subscribe so we can get the channel remonetized. And we'll be back with Star Wars content very soon. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.